So welcome everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. We're very lucky to have Pat, the comms director for DAOstack, joining us today. Thanks, Pat. How's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for having me today.
Cool. So perhaps it makes sense to start at the very beginning. So what's the story behind DAOstack? What do you guys do?
So what we're building is we're building a full tech stack for the creation of decentralized autonomous organizations currently on the Ethereum blockchain. And we're focusing on a very narrow use case. There's lots of different types of DAOs, and people in the community will already be familiar with some of them: the Maker DAO, the Digix DAO, and Aragon DAO. There's a number of platforms and projects that are playing with this sort of organizational design space. And what we're focusing on is we're focusing at DAOs at scale. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create organizations where you can have a high frequency of proposals, a high frequency of decisions that are being taken by this this digital autonomous organization, and at the same time make sure that those are the correct decisions, and that the alignment of those decisions with the community, with the crowd that's participating in this organization, match the decisions actually being executed and taken.
Cool. Have you guys got a big team? How many are working on it at the moment?
So we're 24, mixed full-time, contractor, part-time. There is a second team which just onboarded. We are an open source project, right? So multiple teams can work on this. You can go take a look at the GitHub. And
Infinite.
Exactly. Yeah. So there is a second team that just started, and they are currently 5, so a little bit smaller, but they are some very heavy hitters. Their name is DORG, and I recommend checking them out.
Yeah.
And then I would say there's actually a third group that's really developing the DAOstack right now, and that's the Genesis DAO. It was the DAO we created for ourselves, that we created for the advancement of this open source ecosystem, this open source project. And currently the Genesis DAO has 140 members. They're not all active at the same time, but you know, at any given time, there's maybe somewhere between 20 and 30 people actively contributing to the project.
Yeah, so ultimately it's quite large then, and sounds like a very tech-heavy team.
Yeah, we're very motivated to do something that hasn't been done before, and that requires kind of a lot of great minds and a lot of wily researchers to throw themselves into the ring to kind of develop this out.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about this space, is that every company has a bunch of creative and talented employees all doing something brand new. So none of them have really got a background, say, in blockchain, because it's such a new thing. So it's interesting.
Oh, the ones that do, you kind of look at their resume and go, is that right?
Yeah, raising some red flags. Cool. So perhaps we can discuss like the roadmap. Is there anything interesting in the pipeline?
Yeah, so we've come a long way from the token sale that was held last May of 2018. In that time, we launched a pilot DAO, again, the Genesis DAO, and it's been very, very successful. In its sort of 6 or 7 months of existing, it managed collectively around $70,000–$80,000 worth of funds, again, between 150 people. We were very, very excited by those results and the level of community engagement that came out of it. But more than that, it's offered us a pilot. It's offered us a use case for what super scalable DAOs should look like and should be able to do and will behave like. Yeah. So we've gone to other organizations and we've said, we have this very articulate use case. We have very promising numbers for engagement, and everyone's trying to solve the governance question, right? And so projects are legitimately interested in running their own pilots now, and we see some interesting early adopters. The Web3 Foundation with the Polka DAO, very similar idea to Genesis, where it's a grants-based organization. You have Gnosis, who created the Dutch X exchange protocol, which is a decentralized auction protocol, which prevents front running and some other issues that we've had with DEXs so far.
Yeah.
They're actually taking this protocol and they're giving ownership of it to a DAO that's powered by DAOstack.
Cool.
Which is very, very exciting. It's another use case a little bit down the line because it hasn't launched yet in a couple months, but of a application which is controlled by a DAO, continuously upgraded and managed by that DAO, which is sort of is an expression of full decentralization when it comes to this application. You know, right now, applications are being built by centralized teams and businesses. Yeah. We don't really see a decentralized development process. So we're very, very excited to change that. There's a number of other organizations in the pipeline. Some of them I can mention, some of them I can't mention. I think there's one that I should mention. That's yeah. You guys. That's yeah. Ethfinex.
For sure, yeah. Maybe touch on some points of it, but not too many details.
Yeah.
I'll get in trouble. Yeah.
I'll just give a sneak peek here. You know, the Ethfinex DAO. It sounds like it'll be very similar in that it'll be a community-driven DAO where members of the Ethfinex community can submit their ideas, submit their proposals for how they want to promote or enhance or grow the project in a really exciting way. And you know, stay tuned.
Yeah, so there'll be some announcements coming out around that very soon, hopefully in the next month or so. So yeah, stay tuned. Cool. Perhaps you can speak about the token behind DAOstack and sort of what utility that has, how its demand will grow, and all that sort of thing.
So the token behind DAOstack is called Gen, and the purpose of the Gen token is to enable this decision making at scale. And to do this, we've created a system where proposals are sorted, proposals submitted to the DAO are sorted by a market mechanism. And the market mechanism is a prediction game where if, you know, I submit a proposal and I think it's a great idea, I can then stake some Gen on it, and then that proposal is sorted to the top of this decision-making queue. The thing is, the more proposals that are, you know, sorted to the top and where decisions have to be made, the more expensive it becomes to undergo what we call this boosting process. And this is what enables the DAO to focus on specific things, again, with a skin in the game type principle, because if I boost this proposal, if I stake on it and then it fails, I lose all of the Gen that I stake. Okay. So I really have to believe that this is an idea that the DAO should consider. This is an idea that we want the collective to think about, and I'm willing to pay the price for it. I'm willing to put something behind this idea so that it has more meaning than just being, you know, some sort of spam or poorly thought out proposition.
There's an incentive to be to get involved in that way.
Exactly. You know, if we're having a conversation and we're arguing about something, and then I say, you know what, I'm going to put $20 that I'm right.
Yeah.
That immediately changes the context of that conversation. Suddenly, there's again skin in the game, and we're going to put a little more thought into that argument, right?
Yeah. I think that's an essential point of DAOs is the concept of staking. So it avoids malicious or unmeaningful actors sort of doxing the system, and it also allows for better decision making.
Yeah, and it allows, more importantly, in our opinion, for scalable decision making. You know, it's very, very hard for 100 people, or let's say 5,000 people. Let's use a bigger number. It's very hard for 5,000 people. If everyone submits a proposal or an idea in a week, you suddenly have 5,000 proposals that you need to curate and sort effectively. And there's no way as a human being that I could research and understand 5,000 ideas in 1 week. It's simply not possible. So this really does offer a mechanism for scaling the DAO up so that you're only focusing on the ideas that matter.
Yeah, sounds good. So what's the easiest way for people to get involved with DAOstack at the moment?
Well, there's two major ways right now. The first is we have what's called the Pollinators program. It's kind of evolved though into being a member of the Genesis DAO and contributing to the Genesis community. There's so much that needs to be done in terms of dApp integrations into the DAOstack, expanding the toolkit of what these organizations can do on chain. There's so much to be done around legal processes. What sort of anchor jurisdictions can we push forward an agenda where DAOs can have a legal personality which authentically represents what a DAO is and what a DAO does. We haven't seen that yet. There's a lot to be done in the design and the crypto economic mechanisms that go into DAOs. We have this protocol, we call it holographic consensus, and that involves the staking and the prediction game that I described. But we don't want to marry ourselves to this idea.
Yeah.
So this is an initial theory on how we can create scalable organizations, but we really truly need people to come in, put on their thinking caps and push this theory forward and further. And then there's very basic things like product development. One example is a continuous funding model using some sort of bonding curve. There's a lot of use cases that haven't been explored yet because every single one of these features requires substantial auditing and substantial spec and development and implementation. So if you're an open source developer, Genesis has money. Genesis managing a budget. If you want to build something exciting and you want to contribute to this stack, send me a message on Telegram. It's DAOstack, all lowercase, no spaces, and I will get you involved. I will find a way to make that happen.
Perfect. And I'll add that in the description as well with a link to make it easier.
Yeah.
Awesome. Was there anything else about DAOstack worth mentioning?
Yeah. I think it's really important to emphasize that blockchain has certain things it's good at. It's good at financial transactions. It's good at being a source of truth. And we think that blockchain can be really good at institution building. We think that blockchain can flip the dynamics of budget allocation and distribution in governance so that, maybe to use a real life example, to really ground this in the tangible. For instance, Puerto Rico was hit by a hurricane, and the way that fund and relief was distributed to Puerto Rico was very top down. There was unimaginable corruption, there was unimaginable misuse, misallocation of funds, almost zero transparency into this bidding process. And we believe that we can flip this on its head and we can have a community-driven allocation of funds that will result in better use for the community. We'll see a faster recovery. We'll see more development. We'll see the empowerment of local cultures and local people through institutional design that blockchain empowers us to do. And this is what we want to do. This is what we want to become. And anyone who shares that same vision, please give us a vote. Yeah,
I completely agree. I think blockchain's big promise is for social good like that, but it needs this DAO, this institution, this organization to actually bring that out. On its own, it's not totally able to do that. So it sounds cool what you guys are doing.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. So I think that covers it for today. Thanks, Pat, for stopping by.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you again for having me, and please go out and vote, everyone. That's all I got to say.
Perfect. Cheers.
Cheers.